first as a Gooner, because we obviously heard from Miguel last night, but what are your thoughts today, sort of 24 hours later after going out? Where's your head at with the performance last night and what you do moving forward?
I feel like a lot of the meltdowns online and obviously around the football community is not so much about yesterday. I think it's more about the previous years. And I think what it comes down to really and truly is, like, as a top club, we're the only top club that's probably got gaps in our history that other clubs don't have. So things like we haven't won the Champions League, things like we've never retained the title before. We're the only top club that's probably not got any solidified world-class players. All of our players are debatable world-class, a lot of them not. You know what I mean? Every other top club like Man City and even Liverpool, Salah, Man City, Rodri, Barcelona, Real Madrid, they've all got top players that everyone knows, yeah, that's world-class, that's world-class, that's world-class. Arsenal's the only club that everything's debatable. I feel, obviously I'm still Arteta in, but I don't feel like the meltdown is so much about yesterday, because we had a good game yesterday. We played well. It just shows the lack of what we actually need. I think Arteta obviously is a new manager, he's still learning, but I think it's clear that sometimes when you've got structure and he's got a good structure at the team, but there's certain things that can break structure. When the structure's not working, you need something that can just break it, something that you have to count on when the chips are down, and we don't have any of that. I think that's what the main issue is. So I understand the meltdown that people are having, but I think it's the previous years. I don't think it's so much about right now and yesterday. Personally, I think it's the years gone by.
Why are you still Arteta in?
Go on.
Well, the first thing is, when I go to games and I see him, I can still see how fanatic he is. You see me, I'm a person that I want you to feel how I'm feeling. So I still feel that he's got that fire, that passion, because in any other season, a semi-final of a Champions League wouldn't be a bad season. It's only because of the previous years why you're not picking up trophies along the way. Do you know what I'm saying? I think if he was picking up trophies along the way, people would be like, okay, yeah, you've had a good season, but it's because we've not won anything for 5 years. Everyone's like, oh, in the Champions League or not. So I think it's more the fact that I feel like he can still get the job done over time. He's still a new manager, isn't it? So it's just about whether you compare him to the top managers or whether you compare him to the rookies. He's an apprentice, isn't he?
I don't know many 6-year-long apprenticeships, to be fair.
But that's what it is. This is the facts of it. He's still an apprentice, isn't he? He's not a. You have to remember as well, a lot of Arsenal fans, what they like to do, they don't like to actually deal with the facts. And the facts are sometimes other managers can be better than your manager. Like, other managers' slot might be better than Arteta. It might be acceptable to. There are people that are better than other managers. This is a fact. But people don't really like to.
That's got to be that's probably where the gripe is this year, though, in the sense of, for the last 2 years, all I was told from Arsenal fans when he ran it close and didn't get there was, just wait for the City fall off. We'll be there when the City fall off happens. It'll be our title when City drop off. City dropped off in a way that we hadn't seen before, and yet it weren't your title, and it's quite comfortably not your title. It was a whimper of a fight, and regardless of injuries, because you've had injuries, regardless of form or whatever, when's this coming? How long can Arsenal sit there, spend hundreds of millions of pounds, go out of competitions in new ways every time? You know, you ran out of. I mean, yesterday was the first time you scored in the semi-final, like 7 attempts.
So yeah, I think it's more to do with now. Well, like I like to say Arteta's now he's lost his privileges and he's in overdraft. So what I mean by that is, now, like, you have a lot of faith in managers, and you'll be like, oh, you sign this guy, let me see what you can see, if you can see something that I can't see, and then maybe they come good, like Havertz signing, for example. A lot of people are like, oh, I don't like that signing, but he's okay, stuff like that. You see, now, I think he's lost that right to sign players and let Arteta do his job. I think it's now what the players, if you sign a player, I also have to believe that you're signing the right player. That's where I'm at. So this summer, for example, sign players that I believe are the right players for that position. If you don't, you have to win it that year.
So where's your cutoff, D? Where's your cutoff of Arteta?
I just told you, if we go into the summer this year and he signs the players that he doesn't sign players that I need him to sign, he has to win it that year to the next year.
So you're saying this time next year, if he hasn't won, what are we talking? Any trophy or a major? Where are we with this? Could he win a Carabao Cup? and stink out the league? Would that be okay?
It's a trophy, isn't it? I mean, I want the league. In an ideal world, I would want the league, but I can't knock any trophy currently because we have not won any for 5 years. So you can't be knocking trophies currently. But in an ideal world, I'd have the league. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, but I'm saying, what is the cutoff? Is that okay then next year? A League Cup, no league, no major, maybe finish 4th or something. You're happy?
Not finishing 4th. No, not finishing 4th.
Wolfie, it's very simple. Arteta no longer has excuses on why he can have another season. I think we need to go and address the striker position. We need to go and address the attack. Once we address the attack this summer, there's no more excuses. He's sorted out his defense. He's sorted out his midfield. The attack is the final piece to the puzzle. If you've waited this long to sort out your attack and then you have other problem areas, that's on you. The reality is
we haven't sorted out the midfield.
No, I'm saying for the longest time, the attack has been the main issue. The midfield was relatively decent with Declan Rice, Partey, and Odegaard. The defense has been solid with Gabriel, Saliba, and Raya. The main thing that's always been the issue has been finishing, and in the final third, not having that clinical edge. Think about it. Majority of the draws this season is not down to our defense or our midfield. It's down to us not being able to finish games off. The semi-final.
Yeah, but I feel like that's getting too technical. I feel like sometimes we get very technical with football and we don't have to be that technical. I feel like the facts are he's gone 5 years, no trophies. I think that is what on paper, that's what it says. And I think that's what we've got to address, regardless of whether or not the strikers work in the midfielders not working the defense. I don't think that really matters. Because Liverpool, if you look at Liverpool, no one thought they had the best defense. They don't have the best attack and they don't have the best midfield overall. They made it work. You know what I'm saying? We had the best defense technically. There's other attacks that we say it's just Salah in the Liverpool attack, but they've made it work. Are you gonna disagree with that, or?
I'm confused. Are you saying something different from what I'm saying? We're saying the same thing.
No, because you're saying that he needs to just sort that the attack. That's what I'm saying. But I don't. That's not what it is. I think it's more about just trophies. I don't think it's so much about what you can and can't sort out. I think we've gone past, because if he sorts out the attack, for example, this summer and still doesn't win a trophy, people still say they want him out.
100%. But they come hand in hand. That's my point.
The question I have, sorry, a question I want to ask, and I'll throw this to the rivals first of all, because this is what I'm intrigued to know. What does Arteta have to win next season for you not to? There's always going to be banter, so I'm not saying you can't banter, but what would he have to win next season for you to go fair play? So put the question back to the rivals. What does he have to do for you to go fair play?
Major.
One of the big two.
He's run out of rope.
It's got to be one of the big two. I mean, again, if you're looking at it logically with this situation, with what the next season is going to look like, City, they're going through a major overhaul. It could all of a sudden they could just kick into gear and be back to their 100-point levels. But I think it's more realistic that all these signs coming, it's going to take at least a year to bed in properly. So that door of City dominance, it's going to stay open for at least another year. We're going through an overhaul as well. We've just lost Alexander-Arnold. We're looking to move on a number of players, and according to the man himself, Arsenal are a better team, have better players than our own. So you should be ahead of us next year when it comes to that. I think the big thing that Arsenal needs to do next year is to actually get over the line. Anything is fix their mentality. That mentality again, and whether it's a club thing, whether it's a fan base thing, I don't know. But the amount of times this season Arsenal have been in big positions, have been in commanding positions, have been in semi-final, have been in these big games, and they've acted like they've never been there before. They've made a lot out of it. Yeah, I think Arsenal need to accept that the size of the club they are and own what they are. You need to embrace the fact you're a big club if you want to start winning big club honours. Because right now, I think you're in this middle ground.
I personally don't agree with that whole mentality stuff because I think it's bullshit. I think the reality situation is if you have confidence in your attack and you have quality attacking players, you finish the chances that we've had this season. I don't think it's mentality that Kai Havertz is missing clear open goals versus Newcastle in semifinals. I don't think it's that mentality. The reason why Saka missed yesterday, the second chance that he had. I think it's just sometimes people are not clinical, and it gets to a point where you have to look at the quality that you have, and some of these guys cannot execute. to the same level as some of the other players that we're looking at. PSG, Dembele, clinical. Fabian Ruiz, his shot, amazing. Hakimi, the same thing. Our players just don't have that cutting edge.
Miguel, that's disingenuous, man.
Yeah,
PSG missed so many chances. They do. They missed loads against Liverpool, loads against you in the first leg. The difference is they create enough that eventually they get through, and their mentality under their manager is a lot better because he's installed it into them. So you can't say Dembele clinical. He's not. He scores a lot, but he misses a lot as well. That's the difference. You're trying to single this down to a Saka moment, missing an open goal. That's not the problem. The problem is the mentality, and it comes from your manager.
No, but I
disagree.
agree.
I don't think it's about mentality.
No, but I also wanted to answer Terry's question and also address what Dee said, is that I think Arteta needs to win the league, because any other trophies, it'll be nice for an Arsenal fan, but the league has to be like the trophy he needs to get, because it was the trophy that he was closest to, let's say, because they were close behind City and they were close behind Liverpool this season. They should have won it. Second thing is that I get what you were saying, Dee, that you sort of empathize with him because of the way he reacts in games when you're not doing so well. But Mourinho was like that for Chelsea. He was like that for us. He was that passionate sort of manager. The moment he was not doing well, he was out the club. That's why we keep winning the trophies that we won in that time, in that Abramovich era. Because if the manager was not up to the mark, even though he was a good manager, he was out. Sometimes it's frustrating as a club, as frustrating as fans to see like a good manager go, like when Tuchel went. But they are constantly trying to make sure that they win something.
But it's a little bit different when we compare it to Roman's Chelsea when he bought 4 strikers whenever he needed forward. Like, it's a little bit different from the situation we find ourselves in.
I hear that. I don't want to go off a really good a point that Wolfie brought up about mentality. I want to get Wolfie and Josh's view on this. When you say it's mentality and it's not about buying better players, what is it that Arteta is or isn't doing that's damaging the mentality, in your opinion?
But for me personally, I think he thinks too much of himself. His arrogance comes across in his interviews. For him to sit there yesterday and talk about Arsenal being the best team in the competition is quite frankly embarrassing. To say things like over my dead body, that Liverpool were lucky to win it this year, Arsenal would have won it with the points tally or whatever he said. He's got serious delusions about how good he is. And saying things like that shows you his mentality. He thinks he is better than he is as a manager. He's an apprentice at the end of the day. This is his first job. He was the assistant to Pep. That's his CV. And he's had 5 years, £750 million spent on this Arsenal team, and he spent it in the wrong places. Everyone talks about the culture change he made, getting rid of likes of Aubameyang, Lacazette, whoever else. Fine. But where were the replacements? You don't just get rid of your goals and then replace it with nothing. You replace it with a midfielder that you're converting up to a striker. That's the problem with it. And that mentality of him thinking he is so much bigger than he is clearly feeding into the players, telling them they're much better than they actually are. And then you build it up into this crescendo once you've beaten Real Madrid that you've almost won the tournament just by beating Real Madrid. And I've seen Arsenal fans trying to pick who they want in the final between Milan and Barca. That's the problem with the mentality.
I think you're confusing arrogance with charisma. Maybe he doesn't have the charisma of other managers when he portrays his messaging, but I do think Arteta is not coming out. He's not doing this out of sheer arrogance. He's giving you guys his personal opinions, but the way that he speaks, he's not as charismatic as a Klopp. He's not as charismatic as a Pep.
So it's not arrogant to say you were the best team in the Champions League.
No,
that was not cool.
That's his opinion. A manager can give his opinion after a loss. Maybe
it's incredible.
But that's delusional. No, but
it's
incredible. That's delusional.
I think the timing of it is probably bad. The timing of it. I think there's no. I think the timing of it. Certain things that he'll say at time, but I think that comes with experience as well. I think it's like we're killing him for being not a top manager. For we're putting him in the bracket that he's not in. And so all of these things come with controlling the media and stuff like that. That all comes with experience.
Indeed, he's creating talking points that he doesn't need to. If he came out yesterday and said, fair play PSG, the better team won, I wish them all the best, and just shut up. We wouldn't be talking about it right now.
Yeah, I agree.
What
I
he's
agree.
talking about, I understand. He's talking about the fact that we created more than enough chances to win the tie.
Yeah, but they were better than us. They were better than us.
No, but he can't. He's coming out. He's coming out and doing interviews.
Better than us. It was
Over
small
the 2 legs, they were better than us.
It was
He's
small
coming out and doing interviews saying that,
It was-
the PSG bench told me we were better than them. And then Enrique's coming out and going, no, we didn't. So he's
Okay.
making stuff up.
Enrique doesn't know every conversation he had with the players, so he can't say something.
Yeah, but
Enrique-
do you think that we were better than PSG over the 2 legs?
I
Josh,
think it
we
was.
can't hear you. I think you're on mute, Josh.
I genuinely think it was small margins, and the difference between the 2 legs is the first couple minutes where they scored their goal at our ground, and when we were at their ground and we had a chance to score 3 goals, we couldn't capitalize. The beginnings of the 2 games perfectly explain everything that's gone on.
Let's go to
PSG
Josh.
Igal, the performance,
Guys, I want to go to